Hello, here's Lich Pen, and I'm doing a presentation about Zimbabwe, and it is related to climate change. First of all, I want to do three vulnerabilities and opportunities for Zimbabwe due to climate change. First one of vulnerability is drought, I think, and I will discuss it into six parts. Hazard is because of the drought, the inflows into Lake Kariba have not been sufficient and the power producing capacity has been greatly reduced ecologically due to its extinction for some creatures. Exposure is local farmers cannot harvest well due to the death of crops and also residents cannot have adequate food to survive. Sensitivity. It is highly sensitive because Zimbabwe relies on water a lot to develop agricultural sector of economy. Politically, it given the government burden on budgets to deal with land recovery and protection. Economically, about 80% of Zimbabweans depend on rain-fed agriculture, and the sector employs the majority of the population. Vulnerability two is epidemics. Hazard is the severe hot climate offers bacteria and an atmosphere to diffuse, increasing the mortality rates and decreasing the life expectancy. Ecologically, it breaks the balance of natural increase. Exposure is waterborne malaria, fever, etc., accompanied by the high temperature and concealed water sources. Sensitivity is it is quite sensitive. Zimbabwe is a labor-intensive nation. It relies on healthy adults to boost economy. Economically, epidemics will cause a number of sick people to segregated. Logically, workforce is not affordable to achieve some goals. Culturally, foreigners will subjectively to avoid come to Zimbabwe due to viruses. 3 is hunger. Hazard is Malaga is fighting to feed themselves and earn a living with small vegetable garden after this year's drought left them with next to nothing. Ecologically, deterioration of the ground because of no nutrition absorbed from plantations. Exposure is residents in Zimbabwe need foods and fruits to maintain the regular carbohydrates intake and basic necessities. Sensitivity. It is very sensitive. It may cause some forced immigration occur, and gradually fewer and fewer residents can be kept to focus on primary sector. Economically, hunger leads to the high value of foods due to scarcity, since that inflation will emerge and shock the economy. Socially, when people have nothing to eat, they may produce some raids and chaos to fight against governments in order to drain their dissatisfaction. And 4 is infrastructures, and 5 is the money game. As for the opportunity, the first one is slight or no wage gap among males. Ecological change. Due to the same climate conditions for all the residents, they earn a similar chance to struggle. Exposure is the almost equal competition will lead to some benignant beginnings and corporations. Opportunities residents have rights to choose what they like to work with due to the status of Zimbabwe's current capital situation. Politically, government needs to encourage the precise creative youth to start a business by avoiding some problems from climate impacts. Socially, all the newly developed businessmen need to unite each other to achieve collective prosperity. The foremost role is trying to stabilize domestic industries. Economically, evoke the domestic commerce and the inflation can be alleviated by referring the previous disaster. Opportunity 2, increasing the international focus. Ecological change. Because of the challenge Zimbabwe met before, all of the other nations knew them through websites or televisions. Exposure. There might be some donations or volunteers from some developed countries. The locals can learn some open-minded concepts to progress. Opportunity. It is good time to attract some foreign investors to do financings or partnerships. Moreover, study some techniques in producing goods and improve them with some innovations. Socially, offering more employment opportunities for the group of job waiting. Culturally, this phenomenon will boost cultural diversity. Different races can work within the same region. Economically, the frequency of imports will be reduced. Oppositely, the domestic products will occupy markets and control prices. Opportunity 3, it is tourism. Ecological change. Due to the international focus from climate burdens in Zimbabwe, tourism industry might be driven. Exposure is accompanied by the international cooperations and trades. There should be chain reactions to develop tourism as foreigners' entertainment. Opportunity. Some natural resources can be exploited, such like the Victoria Falls, Wench National Park, etc. Socially, just like mentioned in Opportunity 2, the unemployment rate can be declined, more and more free parks can be available for residents. Economically, domestic GDP will be risen undoubtedly, and also international tourism can advertise Zimbabwe more deeply. Politically, government may spend a portion of money to cultivate a group of students to speak English and specialize tourism. Fourth, it is solar power, and fifth is education for students and children. And there's the set